The Golden Hour Birth Podcast, a podcast about real birth stories and creating connections through our shared experiences.
Childbirth isn't just about the child. It's about the person who gave birth, their lives, their wisdom, and their empowerment.
We're Liz
and Natalie,
the Golden Hour Birth Podcast, and we're here to laugh with you,
cry with you,
and hold space for you. Welcome to the Golden Hour Birth Podcast. I am your co-host, Liz.
And I'm your co-host, Natalie. And tonight we have, I don't even know how to get started. I'm so excited. Samuel on. He is my husband, my baby daddy, my love. So I'm so excited that you're on tonight, Sam.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this for a while. Thanks for having me on.
So I guess we can just start a little bit with, I feel like people already know you from me talking about you so much, but start a little bit with your perspective on Wesley and Violet's birth.
Yeah. So where should I begin? Like the pregnancy itself or the birth?
However you want to.
Yeah, it's wild. It seems like it was so long ago.
Yeah.
It was almost 2 years ago, but it honestly feels like it was half a year ago. I think it was very super special the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was new to us. Everything was exciting. Like every moment of the pregnancy, you're 1 month, you're 2 months along, 3 months along. And just every milestone seems so exciting and cool. I'm just going to bounce back and forth between, pregnancies, and it just seems so different.
Yeah.
Right. This time around with Violet, in every which way. And I think the first one was just magical, right? And I don't know. And we talk about this, it was in looking in hindsight, was it really that magical the first time, or was it really terrible? And we're just choosing to remember it as being awesome.
Yeah,
right?
I say that all the time. But I think with Wesley's birth, it was we planned this, we wanted it.
Yeah.
Violet's was a little early.
Yeah. Whoops, surprise.
We're not trying, and then the next month. So
oh shit.
I'm pregnant.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, the way that you surprise them. Well, yeah. So let's go back to finding out for the first time with Wesley. That was so magical, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were expecting it. You took the pregnancy test, and oh my God, I'm blinking. What happened? You came into the room?
I took the pregnancy test. It was Monday morning, 6 a.m. because I had to get up for work. I came into the room and I was like, Sam, I think I took a pregnancy test and I think it's positive. Yeah. And you were like, what?
Yeah, that's right.
So I woke you up both times.
Yeah, you did, right? So we'll compare these. The first time I was like, what? I jumped out of bed and I ran to the bathroom when she was like, oh no, and doing your ugly, beautiful laugh cry. And I'm like, oh my God, I had tears in my eyes. It was a very special moment. And we use that as the standard for everything, all the milestones now. And it's impossible to not compare with Violet. Right? And when we did find out with Violet, I think we're both so set on trying to replicate the rawness, the beautifulness of Wesley's birth experience. They were we have to try to replicate this.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, randomly, didn't even know, right? You were going to take a pregnancy test. I knew it was Wesley, right? Cool, you got it. We're test. But this time you just can take it, and you come in, you barge in with you're excited. You're like, Sam, Wesley's going to be a big brother. And it was just like this. jaw open, stunned. And from like that moment on, it was 180 degrees different from Wesley.
Mhm.
Right. And I don't think it was, and I think it created conflict between you and I because you felt,
Like you had to be as excited as Wesley.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like I wasn't excited for her or didn't want another child.
Yeah.
We had talked about it, but we were really like, oh yeah, let's try in
It was like,
July or
like 3 months later.
Yeah.
So we're like
'Cause
3
you
months
had
ahead of schedule.
yeah.
had the wedding.
But I also think it was because we were in like such a sweet spot with Wes. Like he just turned a year old.
Yeah.
I feel like him and Sam were like really creating something very special because of like the postpartum, which we'll get into with Wes. But like, you know, him and Sam were like really just vibing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sam
sure.
was like loving this stage. And
Yeah.
I think I was just like,
Threw a wrench.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you were just like shocked. You weren't like disappointed or, you
Well,
know.
I think there was a level of disappointment there.
Yeah.
Because I thought, you know,
You had a
as
good
your
thing going.
Well, yeah, with that, but not just, well, yeah, it was definitely like, oh my God, things were just going great with Wesley, you know, watching him blossom. And it was just, it was awesome. This relationship, it was like the three of us, and that's another story. Yeah, but I think there was a level of disappointment with, I know we've talked through this, right? But it's
Yeah.
like, I wanted to do it together, right? I felt like there was just kind of this, I felt like alone and shocked. And then I felt shameful because I couldn't show up the way that I thought you wanted me to show up. So yeah, it was a clusterfuck. Yeah. I mean, everything across the board, it was just completely different. You know, flash forwarding to now, right? I think things are settling down a little bit, right?
A little bit.
A little bit, right? I mean, when I say that, and she was just like screaming, "I'll take you about it." But she's smiling.
Yeah. It makes everything so
Yeah,
much better.
She's just like smiling at me. I'm like, you're a human. I can connect with you. Okay? Like, you're not screaming every time I hold you.
And
Yeah.
she looks just like
Yeah, I think she does, actually.
yeah. The eyes. I think she looks just like him.
Yeah.
So like anything else you feel like you want to add from like the pregnancy part with Wes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
Or-
right. Been kind of all over the board here. The pregnancy part, right? Like, I just remember being super excited and curious, right? And just kind of like learning from you. I'm just going to be a sponge and take everything in, right? I remember the first time we watched that video, it was a video of like births and
The business.
The business of
yes.
Love you, Ricky. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. And I remember being like, holy fuck, what is that? Seeing a baby coming out of the canal and just like, holy shit, what's all that white shit on there?
The verdict.
Yeah. I'm like, that doesn't look like a baby. I had never seen that before. Ever.
Yeah.
It was wild. But like that really did help me
Yeah.
be prepared for what I saw in real life. Yeah.
Remember how many times we had to be, or I had to be like, you cannot get queasy in the delivery room. You are not allowed to pass out. And you're like, I can't help myself. And I'm like, you're not allowed to.
You're going to watch 8 million births.
No, that was so cool because like you were, I was like, damn, like what sucks? Like you're going to get mad at me if I'm like queasy? And then like, let's go to that the day, like you're in birth and I'm just right there along with you. Right. And like, you're almost at 10 centimeters and I'm like down in there, like, you know,
Saw it
like,
all.
yeah. The OB was like, go ahead, touch the head. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, I never, ever would have thought I would ever have been there. There's blood and all sorts of things there. It was good. I was proud of myself. Yeah, it was cool.
How was it when I was unmedicated and I was in the birthing center? How did you feel during that?
Wait, I need to reverse a little bit. How did you feel when like labor started? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Hey.
That's
that day.
That was awesome.
Almost
Right.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
We were at the Mexican restaurant.
That means I recorded Wesley's birth story a year ago, though. So that's why.
Oh, whoa.
Just,
Like to the day.
Oh my gosh.
I recorded on his first birthday that
Wow.
night. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and now a year later,
Yeah.
we have Sam here telling his point of view.
Yeah,
Next
that's
year
why.
we'll have Leslie. Tell his point of view.
So the day of the birth, you're saying? Like,
Yeah, like when
When
labor
labor.
actually started.
oh
Were
man.
you like,
It
oh
was
shit?
fun. So let me think. If I remember correctly, you woke up at like 3 a.m. having contractions, right?
Mhm. It was like, yeah, one contraction.
Yeah, it was one contraction. And then this is so you were like, we woke up in the morning, you're like, all right, well, I'm going to go into work. I'm like, what the fuck? No, you're not going. Going to the work. You are having contractions. You're having a baby today. You're not going into work.
What else to do?
Yeah.
Having them at 8 a.m.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, yeah, it's great to be empowered and, you know, and not feel the pain. But you're going to work? No, absolutely not. So I remember it was like early morning, probably like 9. I was doing virtual therapy from home, and I was in the office. I went in from like a 9 and it was just 1. So it was like 10 o'clock.
You went in at 12.
Oh, it was 12.
We took like a walk at 11. You had an appointment at 12.
Oh, we took a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Now the pieces that come.
There you go.
Right, yeah. So we took the walk, came back, and I had the session
Mm-hmm.
at noon. And I think I was like with the client, like, yeah, so, you know, it's just kind of like a waiting period. You know, we're expecting baby anytime soon, and we don't really know. So, yeah, and, you know, if for whatever reason you go into labor, right, you'll get an email, a call from our admin team. Okay, cool. Yep, okay, see ya. And exit out of Zoom, and I walk out, and there's like, pack your bags. I'm in labor. It's like, I legitimately was like, oh yeah, let's go. I'm excited. And yeah, I mean, I think I had
how many tricks we had too.
Trick?
Like the high blood pressure that I started having. So it was like, am I going to get induced? Am I not?
I
So
forgot about
I felt like we were kind of just ready at this point. We're like, let's just do it.
Yeah. That's wild. I forgot about all of those.
Yeah.
Leading up to it, we went to one of your last appointments at the birthing center, and they're like, we might have to induce you.
Yeah.
And that was like, the next day was like, I was having a diaper party.
Oh my
So
God.
I was texting Tom, but like, hey, you might just have to have the diaper party without me.
Drop off the diapers in my house after.
Yeah. You guys just bring the diapers or drink. We have a
We can't let go of those diapers.
we got a ton of beer and food. Just help yourself. It's fine. I forgot about that. But yeah, no. So I left the session with the client, and she comes out and she's like, get bags, babe, we're going. I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm like, we're going right now? She's like, no. I'm just gonna, labor here for a while.
We're still very Mexican with
Oh,
Jason and Liz.
Yeah, no, yes. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, this is sweet. Yeah. So we go to La Katrina, we meet up with Jason and Liz, and funniest thing ever is like,
And Vivian.
Yeah. Oh, Vivian was again, or car seat.
Yeah. She was like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
Oh my
between
God,
Jason
yeah.
and I. in her car seat on the ground, and it was like blazing hot. I mean, it was still April, but it was like 80, 85 degrees and hazy and just humid. Oh my God. We're having a couple cocktails. I had a couple Dos Equis, and
Did you?
I did, yeah. Because I'm like celebrating, like, this is awesome. Definitely gonna have a couple beers and then go into the hospital.
It's gonna be a stay up for
nice.
24 hours.
So
Only at least 12 more hours.
Yeah.
that didn't last very long. The lunch, it was like probably under an hour because
Yeah.
We literally ate and left.
Yeah. We were like, we got the
Natalie-
bill. You guys
Natalie
just go.
Natalie's standing up at the table, working through a contraction, and the server comes over. Is like, ma'am, are you okay?
Do you need a
Should we call an ambulance? And the manager came over and she's like, nope. And she's like, got done with the contraction, just bit into like the rest of her talk.
I just like want to let all of our listeners know over the studio that Sam was up and doing that. It was up at the table.
Demonstrating.
Yeah. I mean, it was awesome. It was incredible. I remember like leaving Mexican restaurant. And now, you know what? Actually, Liz, I have to confess something. We actually didn't go into labor then. We just wanted you to Jason pick up the bill. So we just left.
Send you a Venmo request.
No, so we left there and we were going to, we were just going back home. I remember calling called your dad. And they was like, okay, this is awesome. Right, cool. So we just went home and labored for a little bit. I say we. I didn't labor. You labored, right?
You supported.
Yeah, no, it was cool. And I'm like, by the time we got home, shit was real. Like you were putting on the, what is it?
Hypnobirthing.
YouTube
Meditation.
channel.
Yeah.
You were laboring on the yoga ball and just like breathing. I'm like, what's stuff? I mean, I'm like kind of like reliving it right now as I tell it. I'm like, oh my God, like I have to be here for, this is like amazing. You are birthing our child like this. So this is terrible. But the only thing I've ever seen close to it was like an animal giving birth. And this is no comparison whatsoever, but like, our family had a farm and we had cows on there and we saw plenty of like cows being birthed. Yes.
I didn't know that.
It was cool. It's really cool.
They just like flop right.
Yeah, it was just like,
really did.
like this cow would fall down and the calf would just like get up and walk away. But I'm like, I'm like, oh my God, this is like live. This is a real birth. This is my wife is in labor and oh my God, our child's going to be here, within hours, 12 hours. There you go. I had no idea. I didn't know how long we were going
to. Yeah, I didn't know either.
Nobody does.
I know. But it really wasn't that bad.
No, we've heard of very long labor.
Yeah.
How did it feel like? Well, you were still early at that point, so she wasn't like in so much pain, but like how does it feel when you can't do anything? Like for the person you love is in pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Especially being a recovering codependent. That's extremely hard. All my life, I've abandoned myself for other people, right? And put their needs first and foremost. I mean, that's something I think through my own therapy, I've like really improved on. Is it 100%? No. Where I want it to be? No. Happy with it. But yeah, I mean, like literally I would feel her pain. I mean, it sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was bad. But I know, like, I mean, I'm glad we had the talks leading up to it about, I always remember you saying like, hey, no matter what, no matter how much pain I'm in, how much I beg, don't let me go upstairs and get another drink. So, I mean, I was conscious of that, right?
Yeah.
And, you being you, labored for 5 hours with no medication. This is a girl who didn't want to wear batting gloves in softball when she was playing club softball because she didn't want people to think she had money.
I don't know.
What?
It's just the thing I had. But who tells it?
Well, I know, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's a testament to your character, like, your meat and potatoes and, right? Like, I don't need no medicine.
I don't know what it was. I mean, no one just like epidurals all the way.
Yeah. But I admired that. Right? And it was awesome. It was, it was cool. So, it was hard. Shit, it sucked.
Yeah. I can't even believe you made it that long. Back labor. Like, yeah.
Yeah, once we got to the hospital, things definitely like quickly changed.
Yeah, so we arrived probably around, I would say 3.
It was like 3:40-ish.
Cool.
Yeah. Natalie knows the exact.
I remember everything. I was like really being like conscious of like, I just wanted to like be conscious of where everything was and stuff.
Yeah.
You remember. You're like
A numbers person.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Tell me your birthday, I'll remember it.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's weird. Yeah. Yeah, so 3:40, we showed up. You were 3 centimeters.
4. 3 with Violet. Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that. So we show up at the birthing center. You're 4 centimeters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, she's doing pretty good. She's just kind of breathing deeply and it's going all right. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then we like transferred to the room. What do you call it? Like birthing room?
The birthing room, yeah.
Yeah, birthing room. And that's when things were like wild.
Yeah.
That's where, like your threshold of pain, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, it was, from my perspective, it was like you were at a 12 or 20.
That's what
right?
it felt
Like looking at you, I've never seen somebody be in so much pain. And that, like, I really do feel like I held on to it. Right? It was hard.
Yeah.
It's not to like put that on.
I
But it was cool. I mean, we did in the hot tub, right? Just jacuzzi, yeah, hot tub jacuzzi to like soothe you, and that didn't like that. So we were like in the shower. I was trying to like put the nozzle down your back to be like soothing. Hot water, that didn't work. You were on all fours on the bed, and you were just like writhing in pain. And I'm like looking at the midwife and our doula, and they both kept like signaling to me. They're like, I'm stairs. I'm like, hold on, just let her go. That's 2 hours in. You labored for like another 3 hours.
Holy cow.
Right?
I'm not.
And then they kept asking. They're like, yeah. I mean, by like, what was it? So it was like, you were, when we went up, how many centimeters were you?
Okay. When we got to 6
Yeah.
downstairs.
Yeah.
So
And
we got 2 centimeters further in like 5 hours.
yeah,
Yeah.
we arrived at 4, and 5 hours later, you were only at 6.
Yeah.
And they measured you, and I like took the midwife and our doula. It was like, they were asking me like, should we do it? I'm like, really? I mean, honestly, measure her. She's not past 6 or something like that. We're going upstairs. I'm just going to make an executive decision. And sure enough, you were at like a 6. I'm like, babe, we're going upstairs.
Yeah.
Let's throw in the towel. You did a fucking great job.
You did tell me that in my ear a few times. That was nice to hear.
I told you were doing a great fucking job.
Yeah. You did.
Well, you did. I mean, and here's the thing. People use the phrase like, oh, you're a pussy.
Do you know what our pussies go through?
That's what I'm saying. Like, oh, that'd be a pussy. Oh, listen here, young fella. Have you seen what a pussy does? Have you seen it? You haven't? Oh, yeah. Well, maybe you should see a live birth.
I'm dying right now.
I'm happy the word pussy.
Oh my God.
has just been said. I don't think I've like that word in years.
I was the same thing, though. I'm like, I mean, reflected after that douchebag. He was like, oh, don't be a pussy. I'm like,
Well,
fuck.
yeah, it's like a ball sack. That's like the weakest point ever
Wait, what?
on a man. When you say like man, that's grow some balls. It's like
Yeah.
what? So freaking like hurt.
They get flunked and they're like,
Okay, all right. I'm not trying to compare it here, but that hurt is just as bad. Not as childbirth. Saying, but anywho, wait, I just go from being an advocate to being attacked.
No, I'm not saying
not
that.
attacking you.
It's just a funny comparison when a pussy is like equated to like weak, and then like grow some balls is like strong, but like balls are not strong.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah, that's what you meant. Like, oh God, they're so sensitive. Yeah, no, they're super sensitive. Yeah, no, we're the ones. Could I have done what you did, Natalie, for 5 hours? No. Could I have done what you did for the first round of contractions? No. No. Could I have stood next to the table and eat the rest of my tacos while going through contractions? Absolutely not. So, cheers to you.
Thanks, Bill.
Anyway, I kind of
Things were
derailed
juicy from there after the epidural came.
Oh, yeah. So we went upstairs, epidural. I remember they brought in food and they're like, want a ham and cheese sandwich? Sure. And I like pull this out of like the refrigerator with like this hockey puck of like Oscar Mayer ham and cheese. And
Turkey.
It was turkey.
The turkey sandwich.
I have no idea what I mean. It doesn't matter. And they had like the can of Sprite.
Yeah.
I remember we probably slept for 2 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Again, Natalie, she's just getting hired on her new job. She's in labor, just got the epidural. What's she doing? She's emailing the CEO. Okay, I think I'm going to be out for a little while. I'm actually in labor, so we're going to push my start date back. Who are you?
They just want to make sure they knew.
Well, even one of the numbers was like, why are you responding? Why are you writing this email?
Yeah.
You're right. So, after that, I feel like things went pretty quickly. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we rested. Well, I slept for 2 hours.
Yeah.
We woke up.
Rested.
Things kind of like progressed quickly.
Yeah.
And it was, what was it? 3 o'clock. Like, the nurses were coming in.
3 a.m. Just want to tell.
Oh yeah, 3 a.m. Yeah, that's important. I remember like going to use the restroom, coming out. I'll never ever forget this. And I hear like this water balloon like hit the floor, and I saw it. Like, what was that? And I like look up at Natalie, and I look up at the nurse, and they're doing like someone's like, your water is broken. And we're like, yeah.
We high five.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Like, all right, things are getting real. By that time, Emma was there. One of my best friend's wives. So awesome. So fortunate to have her there.
Yeah.
She's a nurse. Mercy. I'm not supposed to say Mercy. So we say Mercy.
Yeah, we've all said it. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe they can sponsor us or something.
Sure.
Yeah. Birthing center. Yeah. So anyway, it was awesome that she was part of that. It was so special. So yep, your water broke. We go in, and really like 30 minutes later, Wesley was born. I want to go back to like when we left the house. We're driving up to the hospital, and you were in the back seat of our Hyundai Tucson on all fours. We actually sing backwards.
Yeah, I got that idea from Liz.
But I don't think that lasted.
It's pretty much already, yeah, when I'm there.
Yeah.
Okay. It was weird. I wasn't
That's
just
rough.
trying to be comfortable. Yeah.
So we had gone up there. We had 3 ideas for names, or 2.
3, Wesley, Owen, and Callahan.
Yeah. And then,
Callahan. What?
yeah,
Like I would
I've
never.
never heard that.
Yeah, I
from
would
you guys.
never name
it was
her
okay. No offense to any Callahans out there.
Yeah.
It's a lovely.
Callahan.
Oh, that's
But,
cute.
So we were like going there, and we were like making it from McCausland onto 40 because you love Lumineers so much. I'd put on the Lumineers, and I remember thinking getting on the entrance ramp to 40. I'm like, the lead singer's name of Lumineers is Wesley, right? Like, yeah. I go, huh. Okay. And we just listened all the way down there. And sure enough, when he was born, we didn't say anything. And you were just like holding him, and I know where you're just like, he's Wesley. And that like laughing, crying
Thing I
do. It's beautiful. All of a sudden. Yeah. And like immediately, but that moment's important because compare that to Violet, right? That one was so special. We didn't know what we were going to choose. You said we just had to choose or like see. He was born.
Yeah.
And
I
it was
saw a glimpse of him, and I said Wesley. And now he is literally a Wesley.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Wesley.
Oh, yeah.
He's such a Wes.
Yeah.
Fuck, yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
That was such an amazing moment. I remember like we FaceTimed my mom. It's Wesley, and it was so cool. So cool. And if we like compare that to Violet's, maybe I shouldn't just jump in across.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, so when that happened, when Violet was here, it was like we had to live up to, again, the standard. What was set with the first experience, right? And I don't know why we left home for the couple of days leading up to birth. We were like, Violet's her name. Yep, agreed. Well, let's do it. So happy. We're telling the nurses when we got there. They're like, oh, we have a friend named Violet. They were like super excited. Cool. And Violet's born. And for whatever reason, I had to go and fuck it up. I said, I don't think she's a Violet. I think she's a Joseph.
I feel like I even said that too. I was like, I don't know if I see it.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, she's Violet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now she is Violet, right? Like,
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of shame. I think I still feel like, which I shouldn't, right? Like, she was Josephine for the first 6 weeks of her life. We decided, nah, they didn't stick. Everyone's calling her something else. People are calling her fucking Josie, Joe, Jojo, Josephine. Nobody could ever
There's
decide.
like 10 nicknames for her.
Yeah. So I was like, it's actually not really sticking well. I don't know what to call her. She doesn't look like a Josephine. So then made the choice to like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
And changing a name is not that easy.
Oh.
And it costs $177.
Right. At least in the city of St. Louis.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Yeah, that sucks. But she's definitely a Violet.
Yeah.
It's deep in her soul.
Yeah.
It is, for sure. You know, and I think this is kind of like going into the ADHD, you know, part of being a dad. Yes, I have ADHD, right? I was diagnosed 3 years ago. As an adult, I was 30. Because it was right before our wedding.
Yeah, I was like
So I was 32. Yeah, 32.
Yeah.
It was shocking. Oh, God. What?
You had
We've,
no
like,
idea.
You wouldn't know. I mean, like, I always suspected it, and I was always like, really like, my buddies were always like, yeah, you got ADHD.
Like the joke, like,
Yeah.
oh, you're
Yeah.
so ADHD.
Yeah, you're so
Yeah.
ADHD. But now, like, in hearing it and being diagnosed with it, like, it's heavy.
Our generation was skipped
Yours
with
was?
diagnosis. Like our generation, it was just like
yeah.
Yeah.
it was like the next generation. They were like ADHD was everybody.
Oh, yeah,
it was
yeah,
just
yeah.
like
It was like the
whole adult generation is now like, oh shit.
It is, yeah, yes. Well, it's wild. I mean, it was. Well, speaking of that, like why I brought up the ADHD thing, it was like there's a lot of shame around like the name change because of like the impulsivity. But it's not just my decision; it's our decision,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I looked this up. It was like 30% of parents had namer's remorse.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think this was on like what's the app that we use?
What to expect.
What to expect.
Yeah.
I think, or maybe not. Maybe it wasn't. I remember seeing this. It was like 3% of parents had namer's remorse, right? They're
Oh,
like,
wow.
oh, dang it, we should have called her or him something else, and then don't change.
And then
Yeah.
what's the percentage of
People who
people who
actually
do
change
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I don't know. Would that be 70? I'm not really good.
No,
I don't know.
It's 30%.
Well, then 70% would be happy with what they.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, good. Thank you. We can end it that.
Yeah.
Where was I? Oh yeah. So just like the impulsivity of changing your name, a little shame, but I'm working through it. It's like I kind of rationalize it in my mind of like, okay, so really the only thing that I have shame about is what other people will think. And is that enough to keep me from like changing the name of like how we feel connected to our child?
Yeah.
No.
Doing what you feel is right in your gut.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're both super happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better than when she was like 10 or something. And you're like,
You
God, you're Josephine.
could have an identity crisis big time now. Just make that through a small one now.
I mean, when she's older, we can just tell her, kids, we can give her the nickname Joe.
Yeah.
Josephine. How's my name Joe? Well, mommy, daddy called you Joseph, or your dad called you Josephine when you were born. So,
It's a cute story.
I know.
It
It will
is.
be a cute story once.
It will be.
I mean, it is now.
Yeah.
You guys may not see it, but
Yeah. Sure would.
it's a cute story.
So if you want to touch a little bit on what like going back now 2 years ago, what happened immediately after Wesley and first when we got home?
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, I mean, it's, I guess the reason why it's taken me so long to come along here is because of the shit around that. I don't know what happened. It's like,
I never mentioned this in my birth story, so like probably
Yeah.
nobody knows.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Golden Hour Birth Podcast. Join us next week for part 2 of Sam's story, where he talks about his postpartum experience with Wesley and the unexpected death of his father. If you enjoyed this episode, Please share it with a friend and give us a 5-star review. See you next episode.